What we're going to do now is we're going to continue graphing inequalities. If you remember, we're going to make our XY axis. Here we have our x-axis. Here we have our y-axis. If we're looking at our first inequality, it's x is less than 2. So along the x-axis, we go to 2. And because there's no line underneath, we're drawing a dashed line. And because it's less than, what we're going to do is we're going to shade to the left of the line. So that right there is our first inequality. Now, if we look at our second inequality, this time it's y is less than or equal to -1. So we go to -1 on the y-axis. And what we're going to do is we're going to draw a solid line. And once again, the reason that it's a solid line is if we're looking at our inequality, notice that it's underlined. That underline means that it's a solid line. This also is less than, it's less than or equal to, so we're going to shade below the line. Now, if you remember from above, whenever we have two lines crossing, the red and the blue, that's our answer. So that means what we're going to do is we're going to darken in this part, clarifying that this right here is our answer. Remember, it's not an ordered pair, it's a shaded region because it's an inequality. Now, when we're looking at letter E, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to make our XY axis. If we're looking at our first inequality, we see a -3 for the y-intercept. So at -3, we plot a point. Our slope is 3, so that would be 3 over 1. We go up 3 to the right 1. We go up 3 to the right 1 again to make sure our line is straight. Because it's less than and not less than or equal to, it's a dashed line. And less than, we shade below. Now, if we're looking at our second inequality, it's a +1, so we plot a point at 1. Our slope is -2, so that would be -2 over 1. So from this point, we go down 2 to the right 1 to make sure it's straight, down 2 to the right 1 again. Once again, it's a dashed line because there's no line underneath, so we're making a dashed line. And since it's less than, we're shading below. Now, once again, our answer is where the two overlap. So we're looking to see where the red and blue overlap, and we see it's right in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to darken it to make sure that it's clear what our answer is. Now, looking at letter F. Make our XY axis. This one's a little bit more difficult because we need to get the y by itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract the x. I get y is greater than -x plus 2. Y-intercept is 2, so I plot a point at 2. My slope is -1, which is -1 over 1, meaning I go down 1 to the right 1. To make sure my line is straight, I go down 1 to the right 1 again. This right here is a dashed line. And since it's greater than, I'm going to shade above. Now, if I'm looking at my second inequality, I get the y by itself by subtracting the x. My y-intercept is -1. So I plot a point at -1. My slope is -1 over 1. So I go down 1 to the right 1. I go down 1 to the right 1 again to make sure that it's a straight line. Once again, it's dashed. This time it's less than, so I shade below. This is a little bit different than the other ones because if you're looking, our goal is to see where the red and the blue intersect. And we don't see anything. So a lot of you probably already guessed. What we're going to do is we're going to put no solution.